Our story is one of reimagining. Reimagining who you can be, what you can achieve, and how SEMA can support you. As technology and digital platforms disrupt businesses, we are reimagining what the profession can be. We've updated our syllabus to meet the expectation of employers, ensuring SEMA-qualified professionals have the skills to make an impact from day one. Reimagine your career. Contact SEMA Sri Lanka.
Welcome to LMDtv. This week on Talking Business, Anushan Selvarajah speaks with the Chairman of Sanasa Development Bank, Lakshman Abeysekera.
Welcome to LMDtv, Lakshman. Good to have you with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
How has this entire period been for the cooperative and development banking sector?
In fact, particularly SDB Bank, we have just concluded a successful issue of rights. We have used the digital mode. This is the first time that we have issued and we collected about 1.5 billion. That shows the trust and confidence placed by our investors, the cooperative sector and the private sector, and also the foreign investors like IFC and FMO. In fact, cooperative banking, we are not only concentrating on cooperative banking, we have three segments mainly: cooperatives, SMEs, and the retail banking. So we are moving on to the SME, the broad category. Under that, you get the cooperative banking as well. So the cooperative is one segment of our business, but overall, this is a bank initiated and developed by the cooperative society, especially the Sanasa movement. So therefore, the cooperative sector, there is now they have to play a big role with this pandemic, especially on the agri sector and the food supply chain.
Now, on that point of the agri sector, our rural communities, Lakshman, how have they been coping with the economic impact of this pandemic?
In fact, the agri sector, the main key issue was the price and also the supply chain for their producers. And especially the cooperative sector during the pandemic period, they have intervened, and we also supported as SDB Bank for their working capital requirements. And they did a good job during the pandemic period. And also with that, the cooperative sector is now establishing their food supply chain in addition to the private sector. On the SME side, of course, the rural sector, the informal sector is being affected, especially with the tourism sector and few other sectors. So there are areas where we have to support them.
What more could our authorities do to help prop up our rural communities, Lakshman, because they do need help right now?
In fact, the agri sector, SME sector, and the education sector, when you look at the agri sector, of course, we have to establish the supply chains and also provide the necessary infrastructure, fertilizer, land, and water. On the SME sector, of course, there should be a overall strategy by the authorities, because there are so many things done by different agencies and different places. So you have to bring everything and have one strategy and one support system. On the other hand, the accounting fraternity is now advocating the government to have a credit guarantee institution to support them on the financing side. Education sector, of course, the rural community is lacking the infrastructure and also the facilities for the online education, especially children, school children. So where we will have to provide them the infrastructure plus maybe some support to get these tools and instruments.
How does the bank such as SDB provision for non-performing loans?
NPLs, of course, we are a special bank, and our NPL portions are, compared to the industry levels, we have a very good record, because our NPLs historically it is low, because we are with the community and we are lending to the community and the rural base. So the trust and the close relationship, and also we support them whenever there is a crisis or a situation. So therefore, the close relationship help us to keep our NPS low. on top of that, we are now equipped with the digital platforms where we should be able to reach them and also monitor their cash flows through our digital platforms. And also our SDB bank, especially with our culture, we are always with the customer or the community. So therefore, the close relationship and also the digital capabilities help us to keep our NPS low.
We're going for a short break now. Welcome back to the show as we continue our discussion with the chairman of the Sanasa Development Bank, Lakshman Abeysekera. Lakshman, to continue from where we left off, what are the challenges facing the development banking sector?
In fact, currently, the SME and the cooperative sector, we will have to support them closely. And unemployment is a problem, and also this pandemic, shutdowns and the current situation is disturbing for some sectors. And so what we are trying to do is to be with them closely and provide solutions, not only financials, even now to tell you frankly, the CS Sri Lanka, the Chartered Accountants have initiated the SME support system where I'm part of that. So with SDB, we are now closely working with SMEs to support them. Initially to provide cash flow and managerial support, thereafter to connect them with the institutions and the markets.
How does collateral work when it comes to development banking?
Collateral is a challenge in our banking system because the banks are lending depositors money. So you have to have the balance of the risk management perspective. That's why the professionals are now advocating the authorities to set up the collateral, credit guarantee institution, and also to bring the other tools like the insurance and support this system. On the other hand, as I said, we are also now experimenting on the cash flow based lending. Since we have the digital means, we should be able to closely monitor the cash flows online. So therefore now we are bringing in those technology and the concepts to change this collateral based lending to cash flow based lending. I think we should be able to do that in this process.
Lakshman, what more can be done by financial institutions such as yourselves to ensure more access to finance for our marginalized communities?
In fact, SDB is doing a special effort because it is always connected to the rural communities. So we have about, in the Sanasa movement, we have about 8,000 Sanasa societies with 1 million population. So this is how we are going to now increase the capacity building exercises, especially the financial literacy. And we want to introduce the seed capital or the venture capital model for the marginalized societies through this project, where they should be able to get their initial capital from these rural cooperative societies, because they know each other, they know well. So that model we are now going to promote.
Are the policies that were brought in by the banking regulator in order to assist our economy, are they sustainable in the medium term?
In fact, yes, because it's a duty of the banking community plus in the entire nation to support the affected businesses. So that's why not only the banking industry, even the professionals and also the regulators, now we hold hands and support. We have come forward to support this. So we think that it is our duty, and we should be able to face those challenges together.
The key being everyone should work together. Thank you very much for joining us on the show, Lakshman. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you very much for inviting once again.
After a short break, Ashwini Vethakan will bring you a roundup of global news. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Ashwini Vethakan and here's a roundup of global news. As of this week, COVID-19 infections have surpassed 72 million globally, with the number of recovered patients being slightly over 50 million. Britain's AstraZeneca has agreed to buy US drug maker Lakshman Pharmaceuticals for $39 billion in its largest ever deal, diversifying away from its fast-growing cancer business in a bet on rare disease and immunology drugs. The deal comes in a week that AstraZeneca said it was conducting further research to confirm whether its COVID-19 vaccine could be 90% effective, potentially slowing its rollout, and as a rival shot from Pfizer was launched in Britain and approved for use in the United States. In other news, Germany is in for a hard lockdown over the Christmas period as the number of deaths and infection rates from the coronavirus reaches record levels. Non-essential shops will close across the country this week, as will schools with children to be cared for at home whenever possible. Chancellor Angela Merkel blamed Christmas shopping for a considerable rise in social contacts. The latest figures now show 20,200 more infections and a further 321 deaths. Global stocks started a busy week with guarded gains as investors gauged a chance of added US fiscal and monetary stimulus. On Monday, the British pound rose against the dollar and the euro on hopes that Britain and the European Union will secure a free trade agreement after their decision to extend negotiations beyond the Sunday deadline. The dollar eased slightly ahead of a US Federal Reserve meeting where policymakers are expected to increase purchases of longer-dated treasuries to contain a rise in yields. Meanwhile, Ferrari chief executive Louis Camilleri has retired with immediate effect, the company announced late Thursday. Camilleri, who is stepping down as both CEO and a member of the board of directors, cited personal reasons for the decision. Camilleri has been hospitalized with coronavirus but has since recovered and returned home, according to people familiar with the situation. Moving on to the space race, Indonesia has put itself forward as a possible rocket launch site for SpaceX. The Southeast Asian country is also in talks with Elon Musk's Tesla about a possible electric battery partnership. According to Indonesia's Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs, the President of Indonesia has been in discussions with Mr. Musk. In further news, SpaceX successfully launched Starship SN8. However, the prototype suffered a serious incident Friday when it began to lean and fall apart. Reports state that it was the stand holding up the craft that collapsed. And finally, India has plunged into recession for the first time in nearly a quarter of a century, as the pandemic continues to weigh heavily on Asia's third largest economy, which economists warn will struggle to recover from the slump. Official data published last week showed gross domestic product for the July-September quarter fell by 7.5% compared to the same period last year, when the economy was growing by more than 4%. That follows a record drop in nearly 24% in GDP in the April-June period, the first quarter of India's fiscal year. That's all we have for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.